Tell you, man, that astronaut is doing my 2-hour SmackDown dance. That's the dance I did when I learned that SmackDown was going from 3 hours to 2 hours. And you can see why. If you watch this show tonight, you can see exactly why. SmackDown hasn't gotten any better, but it's an hour less of what we had before. So I will always do my dance. You know, we are about a week away now from SummerSlam. Supposedly the second biggest event of the year. Does it feel like SummerSlam yet? I don't think so. Tonight's SmackDown didn't do a whole hell of a lot to get this guy excited for SummerSlam. I don't know if you're in the same boat as I am, but what I was looking forward to was the face-to-face between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk coming out of all of the drama from Saturday night's main event last weekend. And the SummerSlam kickoff event on Sunday where Punk, pie-faced him. I said, finally, on Friday, we're going to get some real heat between these two. So I was looking forward most of all on this show to the two of them in the ring and what they were going to be talking about and, what shots would be fired, so to speak, between them. What we got tonight was actually a very tame face-to-face. I thought that for the story they're trying to tell, which isn't really much of a story, let's just be honest. But the best story that they could tell is probably what they're doing, which is that you have two people who are friends. They respect each other. But as Cody Rhodes told CM Punk tonight, I don't like you. Right? I respect you. You're my friend, but I don't like you. And you got Punk telling Cody, I think you're paranoid. Because in the past, you've had people like, and he said this at the kickoff event, Kevin Owens and John Cena, right? Randy Orton. You've had people who have stabbed you in the back. You're paranoid. But I told you a long time ago, I'm not going to stab you in the back. I'm going to stab you in the front. And that's what I'm doing now. So they kept it very respectful for the most part. And I thought what they did was good. It wasn't this knockdown, drag-out, memorable promo. They didn't get their zingers in there the way that Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins did in their contract signing a few weeks ago. To be honest with you, they've done a better job of kind of, building heat for their match than Cody and Punk have done for theirs, which is probably why Cody and Punk are going to be given the night one spot in the main event, if I had to venture a guess. So what we got tonight was good. It was not enough to really kind of light a fire, I think, under things with these two in the way that I was kind of hoping. But at the same time, it's like you only have so much to draw from because, again, they've kept these two apart ever since Punk came back to the company and Cody came back to the company. And they don't have a whole lot of history together because they've never really worked together before. And the fact that they're putting this match together on short notice doesn't change that. Even if they had 6 weeks to promote this match, this is pretty much what the buildup would look like. My big takeaway from what we got tonight was a line very early in Cody's promo where he said, and maybe I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, I have to beat you at SummerSlam. Now, what does that remind you of? What does that line remind you of? Because I know what it reminded me of. My mind went to the sit-down promo many years ago between Steve Austin and The Rock. And Steve Austin made it very clear to him, I need to beat you. I need more than anything that you could ever imagine. That's how much I need to beat you. My takeaway from the segment tonight is Cody has to go heel at SummerSlam. Cody came out tonight. He got a very lukewarm response from the crowd. Punk got a much more, kind of warm welcome where they were tonight in Oakland. And the way that Cody is behaving, the way that Cody is acting, where he kind of does come off as paranoid. If anybody is going to be going heel, it has to be Cody Rhodes. Now, maybe nobody goes heel. Punk as a heel, we know he can be heel, but I think in this situation, if somebody was going to turn, it should be Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is going to be infinitely more interesting if he embraces the dark side. If he goes just full throttle, pedal to the metal, let's just embrace this, let's go there, right? None of this half-ass, let's tease it kind of stuff. That's my takeaway, that's my hope as we go into SummerSlam. And that way you can also prolong this or circle back to it and do another big match between them, maybe early next year. So that was my takeaway from their face-to-face tonight. Also on this show, we had 2 matches added to the SummerSlam card. I don't know what the total... what does that bring the total to now? What did we have before? 8? Now we have 10. We're somewhere in that range. We still have a few more matches left to be added. Again, we have 2 nights. We still don't know what matches are going on what night yet. But the 2 matches added tonight include Sami Zayn. I was getting worried that Sami was going to be left out in the cold after being screwed over at Saturday night's main event. If anybody has a reason to be pissed, it's Sami Zayn. Well, he's going to have a match at SummerSlam. And it's a match that has championship implications because it's going to be a number 1 contenders match for the WWE title. We just didn't know who his opponent was going to be until they decided to put together a random fatal 4-way match out of nowhere. I mean, Adam Pearce just pulled it out of his ass tonight. And this match was going to send someone to SummerSlam to wrestle Sami. And the winner of that match, coming out of SummerSlam, will be the number 1 contender. And that man is going to be Finn Balor. He was Finn Balor in the 4-way tonight. We had him wrestling his former Judgment Day brother, Damian Priest, Royce Keys. Yes, the same Royce Keys who already has a match at SummerSlam. Let's throw him in there. Although I understand wanting to get him on the show. He was in his home, right? He's from East Palo Alto. Apparently that's like 40 minutes away from where they were tonight in Oakland. Still a little weird because he's got a match, but okay, fine. And then Trick Williams. And as I saw Trick Williams come out for the main event tonight, I realized, I said, you know, Trick Williams has his own program going on right now with Carmelo Hayes. In fact, 2 weeks ago, Baron Corbin, after years away from WWE, made a surprise return. And everybody was talking about Baron Corbin for one night. Last week, we had a very quick video promo from him. This week, we had nothing. I'm watching Trick out there, and I'm like, where the fuck is Carmelo Hayes? Where's Baron Corbin? Why does he not have a United States Championship match already announced for SummerSlam? We already know the women's U.S. title is not being defended. They threw Tiffany Stratton in the ladder match. Where were those two on this show? I thought maybe there was a chance that Corbin was going to run in during the main event, you know, to kind of take Trick out of the equation because Trick wasn't winning. Nowhere to be found. Which means that next Friday, we're going to be 24 hours out from this SummerSlam show. And maybe they can scrap something together at the last minute, whether it's a triple threat, whether it's a rematch with Trick and Mello. I don't know what they're going to do. That's wishful thinking on my part, by the way, that we're even going to have a U.S. title match on that show. I would imagine we will. But if we're going to, we got nothing. We got nothing in reference to that on the show tonight. Nikki Bella is back. The United States champion may not have a match yet at SummerSlam, but Nikki Bella does. Nikki Bella's been gone since March. She made a save tonight for her sister and Paige, and it's going to be a 6-woman tag team match. This has also been added to the SummerSlam card. It's going to be Fatal Influence taking on the Bella Twins and Paige. Speaking of heel turns, we'll talk about that. So that's been added to the SummerSlam card too. And then we have this women's ladder match for the Interim Championship, which is completely unnecessary. 5 women are going to be wrestling for the fake belt at SummerSlam. And we had last week an epic encounter between Jade Cargill and Nia Jax. I mean, this was just the battle of the Titans last week. People are going to be talking about this match for years to come. Obviously, it was god-awful what they did last week. It wasn't even really a match. What they did was just bad. It was just bad fucking lazy television. And Jade Cargill gets in by disqualification when Charlotte Flair interferes. The same Charlotte Flair who was so upset with Jade for injuring her best friend and tag team partner that she let her emotions get the best of her and she sent Jade Cargill to the championship match at SummerSlam. And so Charlotte's reward for involving herself in this match was to be gifted a qualifying match of her own tonight against Nia Jax, who got screwed last week. Guess what happened? I think we all know who was going to win this match. The way they went about doing it, this is paint by numbers, just Lazy television. Charlotte is going to SummerSlam. Jade is in the ladder match at SummerSlam. Instead of having a singles match, they've now put them in the ladder match, where, by the way, there is one spot left open. And then we'll have the full field of 5. But I just love how, we had Jade Cargill qualifying Charlotte Flair tonight, as Charlotte Flair qualified Jade Cargill last week. And so they're both in the ladder match. We got a lot of short matches on the show tonight that still were broken up by just a ridiculous onslaught of ad breaks at the weirdest times. I don't know what was going on with the breaks tonight. So we got nothing in ring tonight. I'm sorry to say. We really didn't. I can't even blame the talent for it. It's not their fault. We got nothing in ring tonight. We had a decent enough main event until all of the interference at the end from the people who were in the 6-man tag team match at SummerSlam, LA Knight and the Usos and Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. So that was decent enough until everybody started running in, but that's it. And unfortunately, there really isn't anything else on this show that is compelling enough to really care. And so this is where we are right now with the state of Friday Night SmackDown, where, and again, maybe for you, Gunther and Nick Aldis, maybe that stuff is something you're really interested in because you want to see Nick Aldis, back in the ring. That's kind of cool. That's coming up at SummerSlam. But you have no good in-ring, no really good in-ring to sink your teeth into. Not like when we were having those U.S. title matches, right? At least we had that. We have no real good in-ring to sink our teeth into. And we have nothing really exciting story-wise. So what are you really left with? You're left with a shit show. That's what you're left with. A week out from their second biggest event of the year. Not really a great place to be. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review. This is actually a good place to be. This is the best place to be. Is right here on Friday nights. Because even when you have a shit show, we try to make it entertaining. It's your Friday Night SmackDown review. It is July 24th, 2026. I am the Solomonster. That's right. Look at that. Look at the acknowledge emoji. Who is that? Antran. See, he knows. Antran. Actually, who was it in the chat? I don't know who it was. Somebody mentioned this before, and it's actually a great point. I noticed it too when Cody was out there for his segment. He looked jaundiced. He looked orange. What was going on with Cody Rhodes tonight? I've never seen that shade of human. Well, actually, I have, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because I was watching Unreal, and I'm not done with it yet. I'm like 4 episodes in. I'm not going to finish it in time for this weekend, probably, but I was watching. God, I don't know, episode 3 or 4. Chelsea Green, Matt Cardona, they get featured. And there's a shot in the episode. Chelsea is complaining about her husband wearing all that self-tanner. And she showed a shot of their bed. And it looked like a crime scene. You just see like all of the self-tanner. It's like on the sheets and everything. I would imagine that that's probably the same with Cody Rhodes. When he gets up in the morning, you look and it's like, what is this? The man looked orange on this show. I was trying to look at the whites of his eyes to see if they were yellow. I was starting to get concerned. Yes, he's turning into Chester Cheeto. Yes, he is. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. We actually have a brand new $15 one. Speaking of Cody. So that is up right now. And we got the wheel ready. I had to grease the wheel. It was making noise when I would spin it. It was starting to rust a little bit. So I took an oil can and it's all ready to go. And we're going to take it for a spin right now. Find out how many likes we need for Be the Booker tonight. This is a big spin. Big spin. $530 likes. And we're at 224. This is going to be quite the undertaking. It's not impossible. We got some work to do here. 530 likes. We do have the bonus goal as well. I shall leave that up to you guys as we get into this. Starting with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is going to have some more work on his plate because Nick Aldis, at least until he gets through SummerSlam, is no longer officially the general manager of SmackDown because that's not allowed. But he was in the ring with Nick Aldis to open the show. And we were getting ready for the contract signing for Aldis's match with Gunther at SummerSlam. But we had some stipulations that had to be adhered to. And so first, they went and introduced Gunther. And he came down to the ring, and he was all smiles here as he got in. Pearce mentioned that there are certain steps. So, for instance, once Nick Aldis signs on the dotted line for this match, he will no longer serve as the general manager of SmackDown. And his responsibilities will then become Adam Pearce's responsibilities. He also said that there is a hold harmless agreement where Aldis will not be able to hold WWE responsible for whatever happens when he is in the ring with Gunther. Aldis said he was ready to accept the consequences of his actions, even if it meant relinquishing his responsibilities as the GM. Gunther said that this is going to be the greatest match and moment in the career of Nick Aldis, but he's wasting his time with this instead of chasing the championship because Aldis didn't know how to do his job. Ever since Gunther joined SmackDown, Aldis has had it out for him, and he finally figured out why. Said that Aldis is jealous of him. He knows Aldis is a former NWA World Champion, but Aldis never really made it as a superstar in WWE. He was dreaming of being here, but it never happened. Meanwhile, Gunther showed up. He got it all. The records, the money, the championships. Aldis had to face not just being not good enough, but now Gunther is going to make Aldis's dream come true. So he went and signed the contract that he said that he'll have Aldis join the list of legends that Gunther has put down. He mentioned Bill Goldberg. He mentioned AJ Styles. He mentioned John Cena. He said all of his victims were chasing one more moment. So now Gunther was going to add him to the list. So Aldis took the mic. He said if Gunther actually believed that he wouldn't be here, he wouldn't still be here saying it. All these things, going down the laundry list of all these things that he's talking about. It's almost like he's trying to convince himself. So he finally figured out Gunther. He said Gunther is projecting because Gunther never thought that this would actually happen. He thought that he would cheap shot the general manager. He would pay a fine. He would move on with his life. Aldis, though, fought back. And he said that Gunther can talk about Goldberg and Cena and Styles, but he hasn't had a match in 3 years. And he said, I got nothing to lose. When I beat you at SummerSlam, you go from the career killer to the man who got made a bitch by his boss. Which is true. This is kind of where we are now with Gunther. The man who beat John Cena in his final match, the man who retired AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble, is now wrestling his boss. And if I had to venture a guess, Gunther is going to win. But he is in a situation where he's wrestling his boss. And if he gets bitched out by his boss, considering where he was 6 months ago, 7 months ago, that's going to be pretty sad for a guy who hasn't even been in the ring and had a match in 3 years. It's not a great place for him to be. So Gunther attacked him. Aldis got the better of him. Pearce tried to get in between them and separate them, and that gave Gunther the chance to hit him with a dick kick, and then he powerbombed him through the contract signing table that was in the ring. I thought it was an effective segment. Again, it was fine. I mean, how much physicality can you really expect between these two? I didn't know we were going to get much in the way of physicality. Yeah, but they had Gunther, give him the power bomb. Not the first time that Gunther is stepping into the ring with a non-active person in the company, with a non-active member of the roster. Last year, it was Pat McAfee. This year, it's Nick Aldis, who, as I said, has not wrestled ever for WWE and has not had any kind of wrestling match in about 3 years. But he is, an accomplished wrestler in his own right. He's got the pedigree. He's got the resume. He's been there before, right? Well over 1,000 days combined as NWA champion. He's got a win over Cody. But this is something that most WWE fans who don't even know, they probably think the NWA is a rap group. You know, they have no fucking idea what the NWA is. How are they supposed to know? The audience that WWE has these days, very, very different than the audience that they had once upon a time. This is not what I would call a hardcore audience who is in tune with all the wrestling history and all the wrestling knowledge. They hear these things about how Nick Aldis was a wrestler. He wrestled, right? They mentioned the NWA tonight because that's all they need to do. They just give the fans a sense like all you people need to know. You don't need to know where he wrestled or who he wrestled or what kind of wrestler he was. They just want you to know he used to be a wrestler. He never made it to WWE. And this is the biggest moment of this is bigger than the birth of his child. He's going to finally get to call himself a WWE superstar, which in the context of the show is the biggest possible thing that one can do in their entire life. You could cure cancer. You could save kids from a burning building, and it still wouldn't be the kind of accomplishment that it is for you to be a WWE superstar. And so Nick Aldis is finally going to have that opportunity in Minneapolis because there's just nothing bigger in the world. But look, WWE decided to bring him in and bench him and put him in the GM role, and I think he's done well. You know, I think he's excelled in that role. I'm surprised it took this long to get him in the ring, but good for him. I know that this is something that he has wanted for a very long time. You know, even back to when he was in TNA and in the NWA. And so this has been a long time coming for him, and hopefully, you know, win or lose, hopefully he comes out of it healthy, and hopefully the two of them can go out there and have a good showing. Arabian Night says, I don't remember one great Aldis match ever. Well, I don't have any memorable TNA Aldis matches. I do know he beat Sting, I believe, right? In Sting's final TNA match. But in the NWA, especially the stuff with Cody, and they had a couple of matches. I mean, they had a match at the first All In. And that was really good, as I recall. So I would, at the very least, I would go back and check that one out. In the back, Kathy Kelly. She was about to give us a medical update on Aldis, who was taken into the trainer's room, when Sami Zayn hijacked the interview. And he talked about winning the WWE Championship, but the powers that be did not want him to be the champion. And so in just a matter of days after that, he's on Monday Night Raw, a show that he's not even on, defending his title against Cody Rhodes. And when Cody got taken out, the second corporate poster boy, CM Punk, he showed up ready to go. And so now Punk and Cody, they're set for SummerSlam. Everybody's all happy except for Sami. Said that he was champion for 18 days ago. 18 days. I was going to say he was champion for 18 days. He wishes he was champion for 18 days. He was champion 18 days ago. Now he has no SummerSlam match. So he's yelling at Adam Pearce, who appears. And Pearce is just fed up. He shouts him down, tells him to shut up, because Sami wants to be added to the match at SummerSlam. He says, make it a triple threat. And Pearce is like, no, the match is locked in. The main event is set. The main event is not being changed. But he tells him, I know you got caught in the crosshairs. And so tonight there's going to be a fatal four-way match. And he says it's going to be Finn Balor, Royce Keys, Damian Priest, Trick Williams. The winner of that match will go to SummerSlam to wrestle you. And the winner of that match will become the number one contender for the WWE Championship. So Sami was not very happy about that. He complained that these four men, they just had to be mentioned by CM Punk. And so now we know why Punk name dropped them. If you remember Punk's promo last week, he name dropped them. You know, he said, I want to defend my title. Sami, you deserve a rematch. And he mentioned Priest, and he mentioned Keys, and he mentioned Trick. He mentioned everybody except Cody. Those are the four men that they put in this fatal four-way match. So Punk just mentioned their name, and they're getting a shot. First of all, it is ridiculous that Sami has to win a number one contenders match. He was the champion. He lost his title. There are other champions who will lose, and they'll get that automatic rematch. I know for a while there, years ago, they did away with the whole automatic rematch thing, but then it sort of crept back. But then if you look at what happened at Saturday night's main event, he got jobbed. He got jobbed. His boss interfered in the match and screwed him out of a SummerSlam championship match. He shouldn't have to go through anybody. He has a legitimate gripe to file a claim, okay, with upper management about Nick Aldis. And the solution should be that he gets a championship match coming out of SummerSlam. Why does he have to fight for it? Well, we know why. The real reason why. The real reason why is because otherwise he doesn't get a match at SummerSlam. So we have to go through this facade of there being a number one contenders match. But in storyline, I stand with Sammy. The man has a very legitimate gripe. But he says, look, because Pierce is like, take it or leave it. He goes, fine, I'll take it. But I don't want any shenanigans. I don't want any funny business. And Pierce says, we're in agreement. So at least he got on the card. Now we know what Sami Zayn will be doing at SummerSlam. We had Brie Bella in a singles match here on this show against one half of the new women's tag team champions, Lainey Reed of Fatal Influence. Before the match, JC Jane had a mic. She cut a promo and said it would have been perfect if I had a chance to go to SummerSlam in the ladder match to become the interim women's champion. We would have had all the gold. Had Paige and Brie Bella not meddled in her match last week. And then she said that she was going to take the U.S. championship from Tiffany Stratton in due time. You know, they could have done that match at SummerSlam. If they had played their cards right, that could have been a SummerSlam match. Anyway, they cut to a commercial break, not even a minute into this. Lainey had Brie in position later for a superplex. Brie countered out of it. She dumped her face first down to the mat. Paige then attacked JC Jane when JC tried to interfere, and then Lainey countered with Brie went for a sunset flip bomb, and Lainey countered into what she thought was the pin. She was holding the ropes for leverage. The referee saw her, so she stopped her count, and then Brie countered into a pin of her own and got the 3. After the match, Fatal Influence, they went on the attack on Brie and Paige when you can look, but you can't touch. That's what we heard. I'm not singing it, but we heard it. And out comes Nikki Bella, and she ran to the ring. First time that we have seen her since March. She got injured on SmackDown before WrestleMania. Shattered her ankle, basically. Or her foot. I think it was her ankle, but whatever it was. She ran down to the ring here to make the save for her sister. Then for Paige, dropped JC with a rack attack, and then got on the mic and she said, it's going to be me, Brie, and Paige against the 3 of you at SummerSlam. So we just added a new match onto the card, a 6-woman tag. We have a 6-man tag, and we have a 6-woman tag. We have a men's rumble, and we have a women's rumble. We have a men's chamber. We have a women's chamber. We have a men's war games. We have a women's war games. We have terrible men's booking. We have terrible women's booking. Everything in this company is 50-50. At least they're consistent. Most of this took place during the commercial. I don't even know how I can give an opinion on this match or grade it or rate it. How can I fairly do that? Right? I mean, they went right to commercial. Half the fucking match took place during the commercial break. There really is nothing to say here about this match. I'm not a fan of Lainey taking the loss here, coming off their title win last weekend. But they're probably going to win at SummerSlam, and so I get it. They wanted to give the babyfaces something here. The babyfaces already lost their belts. They're probably going to lose at the PLE, so they gave them a win here. It's really not that big of a deal. But my thought is this. So Nikki is back. And my thinking a few months ago was that when we... There she is. I mean, the timing could not have been any better on that. Venom Kitetsu. He's got a knack for it. Coming in with a $25 Brie mode. Thank you, Venom Kitetsu. A few months ago, after Nikki was hurt, I was thinking, when she eventually returns, do we get a heel Bella Twins? where the sisters basically turn on Paige and Paige plays the role of babyface. But I'm watching this and I'm like, I would not be against the idea of a Paige heel turn and Paige linking up with Fatal Influence. You get 4 members instead of 3, and so she goes heel. I do wonder if someone is turning, if it might not be Paige instead of Nikki. But I almost feel like there's got to be something. I don't know. I don't see Paige and the Bellas. You just kind of keep them together as friends and everything just, everything's fine. I feel like there has to be something here. Maybe it's a case where after they lose, someone is frustrated, whether it's Nikki or Paige, and then that's the catalyst for one to turn on the other. I just feel like there may be a turn at the end of all this, and I wouldn't mind it if it was Paige. We go to the back. Kathy is talking to Finn Balor about his fatal 4-way tonight. Balor thinks about the 2016 SummerSlam, 10 years ago. Can you believe it? 2016, when he had the best and worst night of his career. 10 years later, he's been scratching and clawing his way, trying to get that glory back. And in the middle of this promo, Gunther shows up and reminds Balor that I'm next when it comes to the World Championship. And then he mocks Balor taking 10 years for this moment. It is kind of pathetic, is it not? He had that Universal title win. He dropped it the very next night. And he has not touched world gold of any kind since then. It is quite sad. After the break, we got a recap of the LA Knight, Royce Keys, Solo Sikoa stuff that's been going on with the Bloodline to set up the 6-man tag at SummerSlam. So now we go back live. Royce Keys is in the back and he's warming up. Here's Solo Sikoa, and shockingly, he was not wearing red. He's been wearing that red suit now for like a month. And he finally bought a new one. So he shows up, and he's getting Royce all hyped up. I mean, he's talking to him like these guys are a faction. He's talking about him like he's his newest member of like the new MFTs. And Keith says he's happy to be home in the Bay Area. He's got a big opportunity tonight. Solo said, if you win tonight, got a match on SummerSlam Saturday, got a match on SummerSlam Sunday. LA Knight shows up, and he says that he hopes Keys wins tonight. He reminds him, though, keep your eyes open in the back of your head for some Bloodline BS. Keys then reminded him, I'm a grown-ass man. I take everything I want. Solo says they're all on the same team. All the Bloodline found is an ass-whooping at SummerSlam. And he's cutting the promo here, and he's putting over Royce. He's putting over LA. He's putting over himself. He was talking like Jimmy. Or not Jimmy. He was talking like Jay in this promo. It's almost like they're brothers or something. But we got to see, again, glimpses of Solo Sikoa, his like personality in a way that we never did before when he was doing the MFT. This is what I'm talking about. Like, he's just more enjoyable to watch. He's more fun to watch when he's in this role. We get happy Solo instead of stoic Solo. You know what I mean? Where it's more serious and he's all buttoned up and he's got to lead, he's got to lead his family to victory. This is a version of him that's a lot more tolerable. And I think it really taps into more of what he brings to the table that will make him entertaining, as opposed to before where I didn't find any of what they were doing entertaining in the least. So more of that. Elsewhere in the back, Tiffany Stratton was hyping up Chelsea Green and wishing her luck ahead of her qualifying match. Apparently now we have moved beyond the phase where Tiffany is very standoffish and doesn't really want to have anything to do with Chelsea. I guess Chelsea is she's won her over, I guess. They're like best friends now. Chelsea goes off to get ready for her qualifying match. And Blake Monroe shows up, and shockingly, she didn't attack anybody. This is all she's been doing for weeks, is just randomly attacking women on the roster in the back. She shows up, and she advised Tiffany, start worrying more about your U.S. title and less about Chelsea Green. Forget what I said before about Tiffany and JC. Had they really played their cards right, Tiffany Stratton wouldn't have to be in a ladder match this weekend. She would be defending her United States Championship against Blake Monroe. Instead, we have no U.S. title match at SummerSlam, and Blake has not even wrestled the match. Not one match on SmackDown yet. She's been showing up and attacking different people. She's been cutting little short promos. We're heading into SummerSlam and she has no match. Of course not, because she has yet to wrestle one. But had they taken the time to get her on TV, put her in the ring with some people, let her rack up a few wins, you could have set up a singles match between these two for SummerSlam. Again, there's been so many questionable booking choices. Some of them have been dictated by injuries, right? Injuries happen. You have to pivot. You have to adjust. Maybe you have great plans for this person and that person, and they get blown to smithereens, and I sympathize with that. But that doesn't excuse some of these other decisions that they have made coming into the SummerSlam card. Certain people who either are not on the show or they're on the show, but they have belts, but they're not defending. Like, what is going on here? How do we not have this as a match at SummerSlam? Why is Blake just still running around, cutting promos and just beating people up? When did she show up on this show? It was when Julia, well, it was before that, really, in the vignettes, but like in terms of her being there, like really making an in-ring appearance, it was after Julia beat Kiana. How long ago was that at this point? I mean, there's no rationale for it. There really isn't. There's no excuse for it. Chelsea Green against Kiana James. This was an interim women's title ladder match, qualifying match. Chelsea hit a Rough Rider that almost got her a win. She went for the unpretty her, countered though by Kiana with a super kick, and then a Falcon Arrow, but Chelsea kicked out. James hit a code breaker. Chelsea, though, then slipped out of a Samoan drop attempt, hit the unpretty her, and got the win. This went 3 minutes. So that very brief summation I just gave you really wasn't all that like off from like the full match itself. I'm not exaggerating by that much. This went 3 minutes. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It was a match. I'll tell you what I am happy to see. I'm happy to see Chelsea Green get a win. And a significant win, because that win will now send her to SummerSlam. And I'm sorry it came at the expense of Kiana James. What is there really to say? You know what I mean? Like, she was together with Julia. The breakup that they did was overdue, but we finally got the breakup. We had the one match between them. And ever since then, and Julia beat her, ever since then, they have been completely directionless. In fact, Julia hasn't even been seen on the show. She's been MIA. She ain't getting that spot, that last spot in the ladder match. They're both completely directionless right now. And, you know, again, they broke them up without having any real plan for what to do with either one of them. That's the real sin in this. They knew enough to finally separate them, but then they were like, oh, well, now what? What's plan B for the two of them? They're still trying to figure it out. I'm sure in the midst of trying to plan the eventual creative for Tom Brady and Logan Paul, they'll figure out what to do with some of these women. I just think about the women's division right now on this show. And it's not just a Blake issue or a Kiana issue or a Julia issue. Again, you have these two women, like I just said, no direction whatsoever. Blake Monroe is still going around stalking people in the back and not wrestling. All of this, by the way, with their champion, Rhea Ripley, on the shelf since the beginning of June, which you would think would open up some opportunities to feature some other people on the show. Oh shit, we lost Rhea Ripley. We can't build everything around Rhea Ripley and her SummerSlam opponent because Rhea's off the table. What are we going to do? And I could picture all the other women, like Paul Levesque is standing there like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I just see this like horde of women behind him, like tapping him on the shoulder. Oh, Paul, I'm right here. And he's like, yeah, later. We're trying to figure out what to do right now. Oh, but Paul, yeah. Leave us alone. We're busy right now. Some other time. As they all stand behind him like, hey, we're right here. We're right here. This is the brain trust at work. R-Truth and Damian Priest, they were having a chat backstage. And He was basically Priest, like Royce Keys earlier, was warming up because he's also part of the Fatal 4-Way. Truth comes over, and we come to find out Truth thought their tag team match was tonight. Priest said, no. The match against the War Raiders for our belts and their AAA tag team titles, that's next week. So now we have a date on when that match is going to be. Truth asked him, are you upset that I use your credit card to buy hot dogs for the 4th of July? And Priest said they were free. And here comes Cody Rhodes. And Cody says, I heard hot dogs. I like hot dogs. He also mentioned Punk and what he had said last week, and he joked about coming for their tag team titles because Punk had mentioned that the two of them, him and Cody, maybe were going to go after the tag belts when Punk had his interaction with Damian Priest, so Cody brought that up again, kind of in a joking way. Truth thinks that Priest and Cody are just confused, and he wanders off. So anyway, Truth is out of the picture. Cody puts over Priest and says that he'll be waiting for him after he regains his championship at SummerSlam. And Priest said, look, everybody is sick of the same people at the top. And if you listen, you can hear light cheers in the background from the fans in the arena at that comment. So there are enough people in the audience to make noise to where they feel the same way. It is tiresome when you see the same faces over and over and over and over again. So that was kind of funny to hear that. Priest said he's coming to drop the champion, whoever it may be, whether it's Cody or Punk coming out of SummerSlam, he's going to drop him. And Cody said, look, it might shock you to hear this, but I like that attitude. And he walked off. Cody Rhodes was out to the ring next, got one of the weaker receptions that I can honestly remember him getting in a very long time. And he got right to brass tacks here. He introduced his SummerSlam opponent, the WWE champion, CM Punk, who was greeted a lot more warmly by the fans here in Oakland. So Cody had two mics, and he went to go hand one of the microphones to Punk, and he dropped it. Accidentally dropped the microphone on the mat. This is like when Hangman Page went to go hand, the trios titles to Samoa Joe. And he accidentally dropped it, and Joe flipped out. That's what started the fucking feud between them. Because he dropped the belt. Here, he dropped the mic. And he was waiting for Punk to bend over and pick it up, like Bill Buckner with the tickets that Pete Rose left him in Boston for WrestleMania. Punk didn't want to bend over. Punk did not want to bend over for Cody. So he went over, and somebody handed him a brand new microphone. And he said, it's sad that this is where things are between the two of them because it feels like his friend was acting very paranoid. He didn't want the title to come between him and Cody, but if Cody's got another reason for all of this, then by all means, explain. Cody said they should stop with the word paranoid. He said, I'm not paranoid, which is exactly, by the way, what a paranoid person would say. Yeah, that's right. How about it? I left tickets for Bill Buckner to pick, but he couldn't bend over to pick him up. How about it? I'll say one thing about Pete. Pete got it. There are just some people who come in and they just get it. Pete gets it. So Cody said, I'm not paranoid. He said, what happened at Saturday night's main event, or rather, he said, what happened just now was an accident. Just like Punk hitting him with the title belt strap when he put the belt over his shoulder and it hit Cody in the face. Just like that was an accident at Saturday night's main event. Cody said he needs to beat Punk for himself. Punk said there doesn't need to be another reason other than the title, but he said that he was all ears if Cody had another reason as to why, he's doing what he's doing and acting the way he's acting. Cody said they've done a lot of these moments, and people have heard him say that he loves Punk and he respects Punk. Those two can be true, And so too can this, I don't like you. In 2011, Punk cut the pipe bomb promo, showed everybody that there was another way, and Cody did everything that Punk talked about. Punk had a pipe bomb, but then Cody dropped a nuke on the business. Cody was aware, though, that each step he took on that journey, the fans wanted it to be Punk instead of him. Damian Priest just told Cody that he was sick of the same faces on top, but Cody is done apologizing for everything that he's worked for. He's been in this ring with the very best, and he doesn't sweat any of them. Anybody in that locker room, he doesn't sweat except for one, and that one is CM Punk. Only Punk puts the chip back on Cody's shoulder. He says he loves and respects Punk, but he doesn't like him. For this story to have a proper ending, he has to beat Punk at SummerSlam. I have to beat you. So Punk asks if Cody just doesn't like that he's the champion. He knows how big of a shadow he casts, and a lot of people can't get out from under it. But with Cody, it's not jealousy. They're just brothers who fight. He's glad that Cody paid attention, but only history determines whether Cody did it bigger and better than he did. That's not for him to say. That's not for Cody to say. It's for the fans to say. It's for the history books to say who did it better. Cody showed Punk that there was a way back after leaving. Punk says that Cody can't handle the pressure of taking the title from someone who he actually likes. And now he's got to make himself the victim and everyone else his enemy. He says if Kevin Owens and Randy Orton and John Cena are all his enemies, that makes Punk his only friend. Right? Because those were all men who turned on Cody. Punk once promised that he would never stab Cody in the back, he would stab him in the front. If Cody thinks the only way this plays out is beating Punk, then at SummerSlam, Punk will break his heart. So at that point, Cody pulled his tie off. And he says, I think we've said all that there is to say. Two of them are going to be teaming up tomorrow. And I think he said on Sunday and all the live events. I guess they have a bunch of live events coming up, some rare live events between now all the way through next Thursday. And he said at that event on Thursday, he's going to bring a gift to give to Punk. And then at SummerSlam, he's going to whip his ass. Punk said that he was going to give him his own gift at SummerSlam, the disappointment of a loss. Said they'll be tagging on house shows. That's true. And Cody, again, is going to have a gift for him. He's going to save his gift, though, for SummerSlam. And he's going to whip Cody's ass. And then he's going to give him the lesson that Punk is the best in this ring, on this microphone, and not even Dusty's kid can touch him. And so that was the mic drop moment for Punk, and he went to go leave the ring, and Cody said, hold up. Dusty's kid? Said, we're really going there? He says, well, get Kingdom ready, right? Cue up his music. And I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be some big, like, zinger that he's got for CM Punk. There's going to be some big burn, like when Roman Reigns was telling Seth Rollins that Triple H is his work daddy, and the only times that Seth can ever win a world title is when he's cashing in a Money in the Bank briefcase, which I thought was a good line. So I'm waiting to see what Cody has up his sleeve here. He says, come SummerSlam. Is that like a Von Wagner? Come Tuesday? I don't know why I just thought of that. But he says, come SummerSlam, he'll win the title for a fourth time. And he did the horseman hands gesture when he did it. Not sure if there's any significance to that, but he made sure that we all saw it. And that was it. So there really was no big burn at the end. It was actually kind of underwhelming, frankly, the way that Cody ended this promo. Punk kind of had him licked there. I thought that what we got between them was good. This wasn't anything that's like, oh my God, they just sold SummerSlam. It wasn't like a big money promo. It wasn't, I don't know, even the intensity wasn't there. You know, you got Punk and Cody talking about, I love you, I respect you, but Cody says, I don't like you. There was no, like, we've seen fiery babyface promos before from Cody, and we didn't get that same, like, intensity here from him or from Punk. We've gotten it from Punk as well in past promos, whether it was a promo exchange with Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins, or ahead of that world championship match that he had earlier this year with Braun Breaker. Remember, there was a promo on Raw that Punk cut. Breaker wasn't there, but Punk looked right into the camera. The camera guy was right in the corner of the ring, and he got right up close. Like, there were those moments where Punk, when you really give him something to work off, he can knock it out of the park on promos in terms of just his intensity and that fire that really builds. We didn't get any of that here. I mean, what they were saying made sense for the story they're trying to tell. You have two friends, and each guy feels like he's better than the other, and Cody is telling him, I need to beat you, and all this other stuff, and Punk's accusing him of being paranoid because all these other people have turned on him, and I'm not going to turn on you. I'm going to stab you in the front and not the back. You know, that's the gist of the story they're trying to tell. It's just there just wasn't anything there, I think, that really made you go, wow, okay, that left an impression on me. If I wasn't sold on this match already, I'm really sold now. We didn't really get that. There was something missing. But my big takeaway from this is that Cody should go heel. Cody should go heel at SummerSlam. I don't know if they have the balls to do it. You know, I mean, it feels to me like there have been times where people have hoped for a Cody heel turn. They've expected a Cody heel turn, and it just never felt like the right time. It felt like it would be a mistake. Now that you have Punk on SmackDown, if they want to turn anybody heel, this would be the time to turn Cody. And I think you do that, and depending on what kind of heel Cody decides to play, everyone is, Homelander Cody. Whatever version of heel Cody we get, as long as it's not, dashing Cody Rhodes, is going to be a hell of a lot more interesting than what he's been doing on this show. Especially if he continues to feud with, like, an extended feud with Punk, and they could kind of play off of each other. Then that would make things a lot more interesting. So I hope we get to see it. Do they have the balls? So we have breaking news here. I mentioned before that there was no Carmelo Hayes, there was no Baron Corbin on this show. And Arabian Night says, after SmackDown, WWE announced Trick Williams against Baron Corbin at SummerSlam. No Carmelo Hayes, no Ricky Saints. Shaking my head. Well, maybe they'll be added on SmackDown 24 hours before SummerSlam next week. They did show Ricky, I think, when Trick and Mello were wrestling, right? They showed Ricky watching backstage, so he's still tied into this, possibly. He kind of disappeared, hasn't he? Yeah, I mean, it was just very, very stupid to not further that on the actual television show, and now they're just throwing that out there. Baron Corbin, he interfered in the match, and it's weird enough. Like, he's being inserted into the... Now, you didn't mention, is this going to be a championship match? I don't want to call it a U.S. title match because I don't know for sure if the U.S. title is on the line. Actually, let me check. Let's see what's being reported on whether or not this is actually a title match. Let's see if there's anything on this. I do not see anything. There's actually nothing on this right now. So we'll have to see if it's a title match or not. I just can't imagine Carmelo Hayes doesn't get added. He was getting a match against Trick when Corbin interfered. Corbin put both of them down. Why would Mello not be involved in this? It should absolutely be a triple threat match. If it's not, I don't really understand that. It is for the title. That's what I'm being told. Well, that makes even less sense. Yes, rewarding bad behavior. The guy who interfered in the match is getting a title match, and the guy who was in the match, who got screwed out of a potential win, even though it was a non-title match, is not even in the conversation, apparently. Make it make sense. Charlotte Flair against Nia Jax. Another interim title, interim title ladder match qualifier for SummerSlam. Speaking of rewarding bad behavior, perfect timing. Who mentioned? Roderick said that in the chat. Perfect timing, Roderick. Charlotte Flair last week involved herself in Jade's qualifying match, which she had no business being a part of. Charlotte was then put in a qualifier of her own against Nia Jax. This was their way of trying to make it up to Nia, who got screwed last week, and so she's going to get another chance to qualify here. As with most of the matches on this show, there really wasn't much to it. That's the case pretty much up and down this show. After a break, Nia headed up to the middle rope. She dropped the big leg. Flair kicked out. So Nia was looking for the Annihilator. Charlotte got all up under her and delivered a power bomb for a near fall. Wade Barrett, he oversold this on commentary. I mean, he was selling this like it was fucking Hogan slamming Andre in 1987. I'm like, brother, we see this spot all the time. Give me a break. So Charlotte was headed up for a moonsault when out comes Jade and the baddies. They come out for the distraction. Flair got thrown out of the ring by Nia. Nia then turned to the baddies, and she didn't want them there either. She was talking down to them. Meanwhile, back on the other side of the ring outside, Charlotte took out B-Fab. She took out Michin by throwing her into the barricade. She went back into the ring. She knocked Jade off the apron with a punch. Then Jade got into the ring and she hit Charlotte with a punch. And then the referee called for the disqualification. And so this match is over. We got the lame DQ, and then after the match, Jade laid out Charlotte with a jaded. Rinse, repeat with this nonsense. At least we got more of an actual match this week between Nia and Charlotte than we did with Jade and Nia last week. Nia went on a rampage after this. She cleared off the announce desk, and she was swearing up a storm. She kept yelling that she just got fucked. Multiple times she said this, and they had to censor it each time. So I'm sure as soon as she came through the curtain to the back, they pulled her aside to have a conversation. She was dropping F-bombs here like they were going out of style. I would be upset too if I were her. Just like Sami Zayn, this woman has every right to be upset. 2 weeks in a row, she has been screwed. Or as she said, fucked. Out of a spot in this ladder match, which actually makes me wonder now that I think about it. Oh my God, I just realized something. She's now been screwed over twice. They may just put her in the match. She may be the one filling that 5th spot because she has a legitimate claim to a spot in that match. 2 weeks in a row now, she's been screwed. She may not even have to wrestle for it. They may just put her in. We may be looking at Nia Jax taking up the 5th spot in that ladder match. You know, Bliss Fan, I know Bliss Fan was very hopeful. Very hopeful. So wait, is she not in the match? Lash Legend against Julia is the final qualifier next week on SmackDown. So then Nia Jax really did get fucked. She really did. How is this allowed to go on? 2 weeks in a row, this woman got screwed. I mean, say what you want to about Nia Jax. You may not be a Nia Jax fan. You may not want to see Nia Jax in this ladder match. But she has a legitimate gripe here. So it's Lash and Julia. So Lash is getting in then. So Lash Legend will take the last spot. Sorry, Bliss Fan. I know Bliss Fan was hopeful that Alexa Bliss would be back in time to get a spot in the match. It seemed pretty clear when they wrote her off television. That was not going to happen. Anyway, the main event of this show, Fatal 4-Way. Damian Priest against Finn Balor, against Trick Williams, against Royce Keys. They were in Keys' backyard. They were not far from Palo Alto. And they didn't even give him a televised entrance. He got a jobber entrance. The winner goes on to wrestle Sami Zayn at SummerSlam in a number 1 contenders match. We were not even 30 seconds into this main event, and they cut to a break. Immediately killed the vibe. This whole show is a vibe killer. This entire 2 hours kills the vibe. Late in the match, Trick caught Priest with a backhand that sent him to the floor. Balor then dumped Trick out of the ring and then low bridge Keys, and then Balor hit a flip dive out onto the pile. Solo Sikoa walked out. As the show went to another break, Jimmy and Jay, they made their way out. They attacked Solo after the break. LA Knight's entrance music played, but he had enough sense to come out of the crowd. At least he didn't slip and fall this time. And he attacked the Usos, who were busy watching for him, looking towards the stage. Solo and Knight, they fought the Usos to the back. Meanwhile, in the ring, Priest put Trick down with the South of Heaven chokeslam. Keys, though, stopped Priest from going for the pin. Keys put Priest down with a spine buster, had him beat when Jacob Fatu appeared at ringside, and he pulled him out of the ring at the last minute. Fatu worked him over, hit Keys with a running hip attack. Keys was seated up against the Timekeeper's barricade, and Fatu built up a head of steam. He came in with the running hip attack. Inside, Balor hit Priest with a shotgun dropkick, followed up with the double stomp off the top. Coup de grace, thanks for coming. Finn Balor. He leaves Finn Balor at home again and actually picks up the win. I think legitimately it has been years since Finn Balor has strung together this many consecutive wins. And it's nice that he got himself a match at SummerSlam. How about that? He's actually going to have a singles match on that show. Same for Sami Zayn. I legitimately didn't think he was going to have a match on the card. And so now you've got Balor against Zayn. You know what? It's I think a perfectly solid addition to the middle of that card with main event implications because the winner is going to get a world championship match. And honestly, I could see that match going either way. You would think Sami would win, but they've really teased Balor going for the belt. There's been some backstage interactions with Punk and I think Cody. So it's probably going to be Sami, but honestly, it could go either way. But at least they have a match on the card. The rest of this show didn't do a whole hell of a lot to get me excited for this SummerSlam show. This SummerSlam show, on paper, you look at some of the matches, and there are matches on this card that I know are going to be really good matches. Like Cody and Punk is going to be really good. Roman and Seth is going to be really good. Oba and Brock, their first two matches have been fun. Now you put them in the cell. I'm excited for that match to see what they can do inside the cell. Penta and Chad Gable is a match that I'm looking forward to. This should be the big crowning moment for Chad Gable, right? So that's 4 matches. And then you look at some of the other ones on the show and they have potential. So it's one of those situations where I think the talent will go out there if they're given the time to do so. I just remember whatever night it was at WrestleMania this year where every match, not every match, but like most of the matches got like 7 minutes. Hopefully we don't have a repeat of that. If they have the time to go out there and do what they do, they can have a really good night. But in terms of the storylines, in terms of all the hype to get you all the promotion to get you hyped up for this show, and it's a big one, it's SummerSlam. It's missing. It's missing, and these shows are just so uninspired. SmackDown is the worst offender of them all. Nothing has changed in that regard. Punk's on the show now. Punk, I think, did a lot to help elevate Raw. I'm hopeful that he'll be able to help out SmackDown. He hasn't been there long enough to really have made a dent yet. But I think having him on the show, if they can get Kevin Owens back in the next few months. I was thinking about Naomi too, because they mentioned her on Unreal, when she had to step away for the pregnancy. And we're coming up on a year. Next month is going to be 1 full year. And even in her promo when she left, she said, 9 months from now, I'll be back. And you knew it wasn't going to be 9 months. I don't know how far along she would have been at that point. Naomi's another one, though, where in the next few months, potentially. And maybe it won't be until the Rumble. We still may be a ways off. But I look ahead and I just see these names that have been missing. Bronson Reed is another one. Some of them will be on Raw. But again, like Kevin Owens, someone like that, to get him back on SmackDown, to get Drew McIntyre back on the show could really use some of these faces back. And then you throw in maybe a Cody heel turn, right? As crazy as it sounds for me to even say that. Like, there are tools in the toolbox for them to use to get this show going. And they just don't use them. And then on top of that, you compound that when there is an injury, like they've had to Rhea Ripley. So you combine just this bizarre booking and then whatever injuries are setting them back, and it creates havoc. And then there are other people missing, Dragunov, and I mean, I don't know. It just SmackDown sucks. SmackDown sucks, and I just hope they could turn it around coming out of SummerSlam. I don't know if that's just the blind hope and optimism that I'm trying to have here, but that's why I say, when the show went back to 2 hours, I'd rather have 2 hours of a terrible show than 3 hours of one. Unfortunately, things haven't really changed. And we happen to be going into our second biggest event of the year on the WWE calendar. Not ideal. Probably also has something to do, other than the ticket prices, with why tickets haven't sold quite as well for SummerSlam this year as they did last year. They're still going to get their 70 or 80,000 people over the course of 2 nights, but they ain't going to hold a candle to what they did in MetLife last year. They ain't even going to come close. All right, here we go. Let's get into your questions here. Maybe you guys thought of this SmackDown show, or got SummerSlam thoughts? Lay them on me. Lay them on me. Bianca is still pregnant. Is she? I thought she would have had her baby by now. She's really holding on to that thing, huh? Doesn't want to let go. Oh, we hit the bonus goal. Just literally just now. Hit the bonus goal. Which is good because we're still over 100 off from the main goal, which is 550. We're 447. So whether or not we're going to get that bonus round is going to come down to whether or not we hit the likes goal. But at least we got the one round coming our way. Joseph, happy Friday to you, brother. San Diego Comic-Con is this weekend. It was this past weekend, I thought, right? I've seen all of this Comic-Con stuff on my timeline over the last few days. I know it's going on right now. Actually, they had they showed the old LJN figures. They re-released them, I guess, under Mattel. And they're coming out with a new line, and they actually have a Heart Foundation 2-pack. I don't know when it's out. I'm going to have to try to get my hands on that. If anybody's got a lead on that, let me know. Those were some LJNs that I never got my hands on back in the day. I never had a Brett. I never had a Heart Foundation LJN. Joseph says, did you know that Raven was responsible for bringing in Beulah to ECW? Well, I know now. I know now. It's got a couple of birthday shout-outs here, too. Says, I will be watching the Masters of the Universe and the Dolph Lundgren version tonight for my Friday night movies. Yeah, you know, the new Masters of the Universe movie, which bombed in theaters, which sucks because I saw it and I really enjoyed it. It's on, is it Prime? I think it's Amazon Prime. It was #1. I believe it still is #1, so it's a good sign. Make some of that money back. He says, how different would WWE and wrestling look today if Stone Cold did not turn heel at WrestleMania 17? Wrestling would look exactly the same, but WWE's business wouldn't have plummeted quite as quickly as it did. And Joseph says, remembering Hulk Hogan today. Yes, indeed, it's been a year. Could they do a Dark Side of the Ring on Bray Wyatt?
I am the last.
Interesting.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree.
Hey, Cataclysm. Or Cataclysmic. Cataclysmic is me. Thank you for the $12 learning tree. This Sunday we have the Pain Maker. It's not the learning tree. I should do a Pain Maker super chat. Oh man. Dark Side of the Ring on Bray Wyatt. Yeah, I mean, I could see that years from now. It's way too recent to even think about doing something like that. Snowdog says, I just looked up the Hart Foundation figures. Oh, they're out now? I thought this was like a preview for something coming later in the year. Says, I just looked up the Hart Foundation figures. $72 at Target? Get the fuck out of here. That's nonsense. Joseph, thank you. Broly says only 40-year-olds can go for world titles. Apparently. Seems like it. Great Fatal Influence versus the Bellas, all so that the Bellas can beat them at SummerSlam, because fuck the new girls. We need to get the Bellas over, pal. Yeah, if I were betting, the Bellas are not winning at SummerSlam. Fatal Influence is going to win at SummerSlam. Anything else would be ridiculous. DJ55 says, here in Oakland for SmackDown, son has $18 chicken strips, just spilled water on a guy in front of us. A drunk dude keeps talking to me, and now I'm seeing Nia Jax come out. This is turning into a dream night. Sounds like a nightmare, not a dream. Justin G, Win Balor. Who let him in here? Yeah, I was as shocked as anybody. Every now and then, Win Balor makes an appearance. Philip Bowman, how would you feel about a Dark Side of the Ring episode on Edge and Matt Hardy's 2005 feud? Also, what did you think of the Necro Butcher and Joe episode? I enjoyed it. You know what? I don't know that they would be able to if they couldn't get Copeland to sit down for it. You'd have to get Copeland at least, if not Copeland and Lita, to just have Matt. You can't get a whole episode out of that. If you can get all of the parties though to sit down and talk about it, then sure, you could do an episode on that. You'd have to really stretch it out a little bit, but you could do it. Misfit Wrestling Podcast. After tonight, I never again want to hear that WWE sees more upside in Kiana James ever again. They squashed her and fed her to a jobber. Yeah, I mean, they're certainly not using her in a way that would indicate that they really have any plans for her. Donovan D, is it time for someone else to lead creative? Triple H seems to have lost his NXT magic, if it was truly him. I watched WWF in '95, and even that wasn't as bad as today's product. Well, because today's product is just, it's not... we talked about this last week. I don't know what this product is supposed to be. It's not really wrestling. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know who it's supposed to appeal to. Lakers Pats, better build. Sting against Hogan in 97 or Rock Cena WrestleMania 28? Oh, and as far as build, I mean, Sting and Hogan. It's not even close. Philip says, does Ospreay say bruv more than Russo says bro? No. Misfit Wrestling Podcast with a 10 says, Jason Eisner, who is the co-creator of Darkseid, saw my tweet about Act Yasukawa versus Yoshiko for a future episode and liked it. So we might be getting a future episode on this match. I mean, if there was a match that was worthy of a Dark Side of the Ring episode, that would be it. I don't know if that episode would do big numbers for them, but it certainly would be worthy of the Dark Side treatment. WWE is an advertising business now. Yeah, I mean, basically that's what it is. I mean, to some degree, it was always an advertising vehicle. It was an advertisement for the pay-per-views. But they didn't just assault you with just how corporate they were, because they weren't really corporate back then in the way they are today. And, you know, you would get actual wrestling week to week on the shows. And real character development. And it's just not a priority for them anymore. You know, everything else is secondary. Trick Williams against Baron Corbin for the U.S. title was announced for SummerSlam after the show went off the air. Oh, what a great time to announce that. Oh, boy. Good job, guys. Leo says, man, this booking sucks ass. Kiana James deserves so much better. It's incredibly frustrating to see WWE waste Kiana. I think I'm very close to giving up on WWE for a while. I'm so glad I turned off the show and decided to rewatch Logan from 2017. It's still one of the best movies I've ever seen. I didn't see that one. Is that the Wolverine movie? Is that another one I should add to my list to see before Doomsday in December? Alexander says Nick Aldis needs to call his finish the pink slip. Now, I think he should call it what's causing all this. I like that. Dried chicken without flavor. When I saw the Cody Rhodes and CM Punk segment, Cody accidentally dropping the mic towards Punk is like, don't drop the soap. I said Punk would not bend over for him. Alexander, if Aldis wins any match, the opposing opponent should be fired by default, since Aldis is a representative of WWE management, LOL. Yeah, well, now he's not, though. See? He's officially been relieved of his duties. Adam Pearce made that very clear. Boots with a 10. Kathy Kelly, oh my goodness. Easy there, big fella. MVK with a 10. Hey, Solo, my younger brother, Hulkling93, and I laid our father to rest yesterday. He was only 66, but he was a great dad. Also, we'd like to thank you. Your streams helped us get through a tough time. I'm very sorry to hear that, brother. My condolences to you and Hulkling. 66 is way too young. So I hope you guys are doing okay. And again, you know, these streams are here. If you want to take your mind off things for a little bit, you know where to turn to. But we're all thinking about you. Boot says, are Pierce and Gunther in cahoots? Maybe they're working together. So we're going to turn Adam Pearce heel? Have one heel GM? Is that what you're suggesting here? I don't like this. Boots, I don't like this idea. I don't like where you're going with this. But no, I don't think so. Venom Kitetsu with the $25 super chat. It's Margarita night at Casa de Venom. Thanks for taking another Smackdown bullet for us. My body is so riddled with bullets, I don't think I could take many more of them. Digging that shirt, my dude? You may want to cash in a One Wish Willow for Liv Morgan to tune in and see you in those threads. Nah, I think she's taken. Thanks for looking out, brother. I do have my One Wish Willow over here somewhere. Alexander says, Tony Storm sentencing Mariah May to a lifetime of mediocrity is now bearing fruit on this show. Shame. It does feel more real than many of us thought. MVK says, how do you feel about the people calling out Cody about the same old, always just him in the main event? Well, because it feels that way, doesn't it? After a while, it just gets tiresome. And Cody's not stupid. He has to realize the same thing. That's why I say, if ever there was a time for a heel turn, this would be it. You got a big baby face now on Fridays in CM Punk. Really, before Punk came over, they didn't have anybody else. That's why I said you got to be out of your mind to turn Cody heel, because who do you replace him with? Who steps into that spot on Fridays? You know, there was a point in time where Jacob fought too. You could have. And boy, did they cool him off. He's a fucking stooge now on these shows. I mean, don't even get me started. All the people they've cooled off. It's ridiculous. They've put so many people in the meat locker. It is ridiculous. Jeremy says, watching Unreal has reiterated my thought that Bruce and Michael Hayes are a huge part of the problem. They need to get road dogged. Speaking of the same faces over and over again, I think the same would apply behind the scenes as much as it would to the talent that you see on screen. Dry Chicken says, I honestly can't feel sorry for the women's division in WWE anymore because of the other women will defend the brain trust of the creative team. I mean, I don't know. Are there women that are going out there in interviews and defending this nonsense? Publicly? Are they defending this slop? Venom Kitetsu, need a Pete Rose. How about it? Super chat. How about it? Johnny Burney. Will the Sound Off discuss reports of how TKO is preparing for an AEW Mania Week announcement? I've already talked about this. There's nothing to talk about. I already covered this last week. I mean, I've been telling you this for how many months now? If you want to know my thoughts on it, again, I talked about it on the show last week. Literally talked about it. And what I would do if I were him, I floated New Orleans as a possibility and building like a whole festival around it. I've already pitched my idea. Tyler says, going to see the Odyssey tomorrow. Very excited. Hey, you should see it in 4DX. Let me know how it is in 4DX, where you're on the high seas in the storms, and your seat shaking you around and spraying water in your face. I'm glad I didn't see this movie in 4DX. Dry Chicken says, WWE is like a plain salad meal. Alex says, Brother Solo, hope you're doing great. Do you think WWE should grow a set and allow Cody and Punk to throw in some direct AEW references? It's important. To who? For their audience? I mean, why would they encourage them to do that? You and I would get the references. But in the context of the story they're trying to tell, how does that enhance their SummerSlam match? I mean, it would get a rise, I think, out of a lot of people in the audience. I think enough people in the crowd would kind of get it and they would react to it, but I don't see how it really sells more tickets, or really helps promote the SummerSlam match any more than, like what they were talking about tonight. Dry Chicken says Sami Zayn and Nia Jax should link up, ruin SummerSlam, and purposely interfere in the matches. Yes, and then they should turn to each other and passionately start making out in the middle of the ring. Here's your Russo swerve. That's how they go off the air at SummerSlam. Sami and Nia, the pairing you never knew you needed. Hat of Discipline with a $10 super chat. No message, just showing some love, as he did the other night. Hey, Hat. It's a nice hat you got there. Thank you, brother. San Juan Wolf with a $19.99. Who do you see replacing Nick Aldis as the SmackDown general manager? I'd be open to William Regal coming back to an authority figure role if he would be up for it. I don't think they're replacing it with anybody. I think it's just temporary until SummerSlam. Wade Barrett used the word temporary on commentary tonight, so it's still going to be Nick Aldis. He's not being brought back as a full-time performer. Regal would be a fine choice if there was suddenly an opening, but I don't believe there's going to be an opening. Brad. What's going on, Brad? Thank you for the $10 super chat. Brad Vermillion. As Sammy's wife scowls tearfully in the crowd while holding his child. Yes. And she gets in the ring to try to fight off Nia. Nia gives her the annihilator. Dry Chicken says WWE is pretty soulless. The roster sold their soul. Well, they're not the only ones who sold their soul this week. Cataclysmic says, joke question. When is Solo going to have his inaugural match in House of Glory? Real question. Chances of Chelsea Green winning the ladder match. I'm going to put her chances of winning the ladder match at a cool 2%, which is to say she has no chance of winning the ladder match. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. Everybody has a chance. The chances are probably a lot better that you're going to get struck by lightning 3 times in the next 7 days than Chelsea Green winning that ladder match. As far as when am I going to have my first match in Hog? I don't know. No one's really pissed me off enough yet. If they did, though, well, measures would have to be taken. Alex says, on that $2 super chat clip, was Sting not aware of the chair placed behind him when he hit his head? I actually think that was, I'm trying to remember. He was wrestling Bobby Roode in that clip, right? I think that was intentional. I think that was the planned spot. I could be wrong. It's just so funny watching it, though. Vincent Moore. Amazon greenlit a sequel for Masters of the Universe. Did they? I wasn't so sure they would. Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Nick Grasso. Idea for Dark Side of the Ring. What about Art Barr? There's a story to tell with that guy. The Juicer. I think I've mentioned his name before over the years when I've occasionally, like at the end of each season, I usually list, like I come up with my own list of like suggested episodes. I always put Larry Sweeney on there. Sweet and Sour, Larry Sweeney. I've mentioned Art Barr before. Yo, there's definitely a story there. But I keep coming back to, and again, I could do without hearing about this guy. It's just so disgusting. But if you are looking for a true Dark Side of the Ring episode, then you got to do an episode on Buck Zumhofe. Rock and roll Buck Zumhofe. That's it right there. How do you not? How do you not do an episode on him? Nick Grasso says, another Dark Side of the Ring idea, the Sexy Star Rosemary incident. I think that would be interesting. It also would be interesting if they can get Rosemary to appear out of character for that. I don't know. See, that building a whole episode around that, I think, is very unlikely. That one probably is a no-go. Hana Kimura. That one, I think, would be worthy of the dark side treatment. Even though, I mean, what really led to her taking her life was a lot of criticism that she was getting that really didn't come from the wrestling community. But she was a wrestler. And it was a very, very sad story. And Joseph Brooks. Would you consider Y2J, an underrated rival of The Rock. If you think about it, he could match The Rock on the mic with catchphrases, and I think he also has more wins against him. Me personally, I don't consider him an underrated rival of Rock because I rated their feud pretty high, and they had great matches together. So maybe other people would underrate it, but I don't. He's not Rock's top rival or anything like that, but I thought they had a good rivalry. And also he says, who in your opinion are the 5 greatest wrestlers to never come to WWE? For my 5 are Bruiser Brody, Great Muta, Rock and Roll Express, and Kenny Omega. It's a good list. That's a good list. Brody is a good one. I might put Brody on there. Brody and Muta, Kenny. I mean, you can get into like Kenta Kobashi and, you know, people like that. Kobashi probably should be on that list. And then if you want to get into the women, I mean, you've got, Manami Toyota. I remember watching some of her matches on YouTube because Meltzer was always talking her up. And I watched some of her matches the first time on YouTube. I was like, holy shit. Imagine her like in the women's division in the last 10 years here in the States. There's just too many to name, and to narrow it down to 5. I mean, you got some pretty good names right there. I think Muta, Brody, and Omega are 3 really good ones. Yeah, Muta in Golden Era WWE would have been fun. Muta and Sting, man, they had some great matches. All right, so the main goal was, as you could see, 500. I thought it was 550. 530 likes. So we are currently at 532. 532. You know what that means. That means we're getting 2 rounds of Be the Booker. Let's do it. I'm excited. I didn't know if we were going to hit it.
To be the Booker.
Did not know if we were going to hit it, but we did, as we usually do. We begin with a tag team match as Paul Levesque, he cowers in fear at the mere thought of it. Again, 2 sets of tag team belts. Currently not to be defended on either night of SummerSlam, unless they add something with the Vision and the Alpha Academy, who I believe are having a non-title match on Raw Monday night. It could lead into a title match that gets made for SummerSlam. You would think they would want the Vision represented on that show. If they do, I'm wondering if they have a late edition and put the Vision on there for the World Tag Team titles against Alpha Academy, if that's where we get the return of Bronson Reed. But right now, as of this moment, we have no tag team title matches on that show. Not even the women's. We have the Midnight Express. Jim Cornette with Dennis Condrey and beautiful Bobby Eaton. One of the great... Actually, you know what? Joseph mentioned the Rock and Roll Express. I might sub out the Rock and Roll Express and put the Midnight Express. As far as the greatest wrestlers to never come to WWE. The Midnight Express are going to be taking on the Gun Club. Austin and Colton Gunn. I like it because it's past and present. Guns have some good athleticism, and I think them working with a team like the Midnight Express would be good for them. That's the kind of team you want to work with. On the ladies' side, we have... Oh, we were just talking about her. We're going back to the glory days of Julia. When Julia was allowed to be Julia. This is Stardom Julia. And we have Stardom Julia taking on Gail Kim, the former TNA Knockouts champion. This is young Gail Kim with that TNA Knockouts title over her shoulder. And our first of two main events, we have New Jack. I don't want to be, and I'm in this, by the way. Solomonster is in Be the Booker. I do not, I want to have nothing to do with New Jack. I got no beef with New Jack. I got no reason to be in the ring with this man. I want no part of this. Drew McIntyre against New Jack. Have a no disqualification match in the main event. Just put him in there with Al Bundy. Al Bundy and New Jack. Man, now it's a tough one. I'd probably go with Al. Probably Al in that situation. Okay. Well, we got our first sweep. We could be looking for the double sweep. We could be. It all comes down to what these stipulations are going to be. Our first match is going to be a barroom brawl. So we're going to get a little wild and crazy here. We're going to be outside of our comfort zone in an actual bar, an Irish pub, with Jeff Hardy. I don't know that that's the place where Jeff Hardy should be, but Jeff Hardy is going to be in the bar, in the barroom brawl. We need a good one here. Oh, I'd say that pretty much fits the bill. I don't know if the stipulation really makes sense for these two, but Jeff Hardy against Hiroshi Tanahashi in a barroom brawl. Maybe they could just take a seat at the bar and have some, soda water, and they could just have a nice conversation. But Jeff Hardy and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I like it. Match number 2. We're getting close, man, to that double sweep. I like where this is headed. An intergender match. Ooh. These are always very interesting because you could literally end up with just so many different possible combinations here. And it really makes you think, like, what would that match look like if this match were to have taken place? So we'll pick the woman first. The woman in the intergender match is going to be, who's that? I don't know who this person is. Whatever happened to Mariah May? She was so great. This, by the way, is still to this day, in my opinion, the greatest ending to a Dynamite. The turn on Toni Storm was just a work of art in terms of like angles, right? We've had great matches that have closed Dynamite. Kenny Omega just won a world title on Dynamite a few weeks ago to close the show, but this right here to me is my all-time number one. So, and let me tell you, Mariah May against the men. This woman, I mean, you put some weapons in her hands, she'll put up a fight. This could be a fun one here. Mariah May. Oh my God. Mariah May against Vato Sting. She may put up a fight, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to overcome Vato Sting. She turns on some of that charm, though. She may be able to distract him. Tell me you wouldn't pay money to see that. I'm putting together a much more interesting card than anything you'll see on these Friday night slop down shows. I'll tell you that. We technically could have gotten that in AEW. Maybe not Vatos thing, but. All right. We got one last main event. And it will be a Monsters Ball match. Monsters Ball. I guess we're going with all men here for this last round to be the booker. I just realized, but that's okay. Actually, no, we had the intergender match. All right, I guess we're going to skip the tag teams here. So we got a Monsters Ball. We're going to get hardcore in this match with the mighty Earthquake. Look at those guns. The man has muscles on top of muscles in this image. John Tenta, man, what a good guy. They did a Dark Side of the Ring episode on him. And I remember when they announced it, I'm like, Dark Side of the Ring? What's so dark? Well, what's dark is, the way he went out was very unfortunate. But just a good dude. Just a good dude. I remember him from the Wrestle Crap forums. He was a good sport about it. He would engage with people on the message boards in the community. That was before he got sick. Earthquake was a favorite of mine, I will say. One of those characters from that golden era period that maybe isn't your number one or two or anything like that, but I think a lot of people liked Earthquake. Earthquake and Konosuke Takeshita in a Monsters Ball. That is the double chime. For the first time, we got the double chime for the double sweep here in Be the Booker. Earthquake and Takeshita, Monsters Ball. Earthquake was a legit sumo. He's a tough guy. I like that match. I like that combination. I think that would have worked out really well. Mark Bannon. What about Misawa, Dark Side of the Ring? Sure. Again, I don't know that it would have the kind of broad appeal that some of these other topics would, but you could do a Misawa episode. Don't shoot on Earthquake. Yeah, don't do that. Don't shoot on Earthquake. It's a bad idea. And Gold Matthew. Mount Rushmore of tag teams in terms of drawing. Well, I'd have to see the receipts. I mean, the Road Warriors would have to be on there. The Road Warriors were... I mean, I would say the Road Warriors are number one on a lot of people's lists. So I would say the Road Warriors... I mean, you talk about drawing. So, I mean, you kind of have to put the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express on there. How do you not have them on there? What about the Von Erichs? Down at World Class. How are they not on the list? I feel like when it comes to drawing tag teams, like high drawing tag teams, it's more of a territorial thing. I don't know that there's any real individual tag teams like in WWE or... I mean, you could say maybe the Young Bucks in AEW, especially the early years of AEW. But like in WWE, I don't know that you can really look at one tag team as like the big drawing tag team. You know what? The Hardys absolutely belong on that list. And I don't just mean for like the early part of their career. I'm talking now. I see it with my own two eyes. You know, there's a reason why they're the House of Glory Tag Team Champions right now. You know, when we have the Hardys in, and I mean, even just the meet and greet lines before the show, it's out the fucking door. It's around the building. There's a reason why they're the tag team champions in TNA, and they're featured in TNA as a main event attraction. Even if you feel like, well, you know, that's not the Hardys of old. Well, yeah, I mean, they're a lot older and they're more beat up, but they can still go in there and play the hits and hit their big spots, and they're still a draw. That's why they're in the spot that they're in. So the Hardys belong on that list. Whatever position you want to put them in, but this is a Mount Rushmore, so where on the mountain you want to position them is up to you, but they absolutely belong on there. So good questions. Now, the next time I'm going to be with you live here on the streams is going to be on Sunday night, and that is going to be for the AEW Redemption review. So when Redemption is over, which hopefully will not be 1 o'clock in the morning, like Forbidden Door. Thankfully, I did not go live for that one. But the pay-per-view is starting an hour earlier, 7 Eastern. When it's over, come on by the channel and we'll talk about Redemption. So that'll be on Sunday night. And then, of course, back for the Raw post show on Monday and I believe all of the usual streams next week, right? Raw, Dynamite, SmackDown. Sunday will be a brand new episode of The Sound Off, 973, much to discuss. A very busy news week. Final predictions for Redemption. We'll talk SummerSlam as well. All the news of the week, Dark Side of the Ring. Probably not Unreal because I'm not going to be done with it yet. Once I'm done with Unreal, I'm sure I'll talk about it, but that's not going to be this weekend. So just be aware of that. Ropes and Riffs. Ropes and Riz. Is that John? I think it is John. $10 super chat. Up late working on some new themes. Thanks for staying up late and always doing these. See, when you're up and you have a late work night, you put the Solomonster on. I'm usually on. I'm streaming almost every night of the week at this point. Or at least it feels that way. So, thank you, brother. Keep putting in the work. You do great stuff. Ricky says, next weekend will be busy for you. Yeah, God, you know, it's like WrestleMania all over again. We have 2 nights of SummerSlam. I'll be live both nights, and there'll be a sound off in the middle of it all. Oh, heaven help me. But this is why we do what we do. As Paul Levesque says, this is what we do. It's what we do. It's what we've chosen to do. So yeah, we're going to be super busy with SummerSlam next weekend. So get ready. It's going to be fun. Even if SummerSlam is not, you know you'll have fun here. All right, be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great weekend. And I will see you for the Sound Off, episode 973, coming up this Sunday. Until then, take care, guys. Oh, Navy 4181. Oh my God, you waited until the last minute, you son of a gun. $5 super chat. I want to see a movie similar to the 2024 Saturday Night movie. Only it's about everyone scrambling to put WrestleMania together. A movie similar to the 2024 Saturday Night movie? I don't know what that is. But thank you, brother. Got it in right at the buzzer. See you guys this weekend.